All right, it's time for another game room update. It's been a few months since the original video, and there's been a ton of additions to the games room. Now, the layout has stayed the same, more or less. We still have the Nintendo section over here, the Sega section in here behind the couch, and the PlayStation section in the back over there, as well as the Xbox section right there in between everything. Not a ton has changed in terms of layout. I mean, this now has been moved to move the Xbox section into its own area. Xbox used to be sitting here. Now it is there. Original Xbox, that is. Right next to 360 and One and Series S, X, whatever. However they decided to do their game setup. That moved everything over one shelf space. So that's really the only layout difference. But again, let's get into the additions to the collection. Now, Sega Genesis doesn't have any new additions, at least not off the top of my head, that are worth mentioning. There may be one or two boxes here and there that have been added since the original video that I posted at the beginning of the year. However, nothing worth mentioning, nothing major. Now, the big one is 32X. The set is now complete. This is every 32X game for the North American collection, essentially, or set. There's 36 games that came out for North America. This is all 36 games. The only issue right now is RBI Baseball 95. I bought the cart separate, and I got a box and manual off eBay. And unfortunately, the shipping company, whoever, lost it. And luckily, the company that I bought it from, they're going to send me a replacement box that's in better shape than the original one that I got. Unfortunately, there's no manual. So it's been about 3 weeks that it's been missing. Nothing's turned up. It's been reported, and you know how post offices are. Any government and agency, they take their time, and you really got to ride their ass to get them to do anything. And I've just accepted that it doesn't exist anymore. That being said, everything else is here. World Series Baseball, that came with a repro box. I still need to get a proper box for it. I found some here and there. I haven't pulled the trigger on them because they come with the game too, and then I have to resell the cart, and it's blah, blah. The point is, everything's here. Every game is here, and pretty much every box is here and complete. So I'm really, really, really proud about that. Again, so that set's complete. What else have we added? Over here in Sega CD, I don't think there's been a ton. There's been a few more games I've added here and there. As I see them out in the wild, I pick them up. I stopped buying off eBay in a... how should I describe it? I would constantly be on eBay and constantly be buying games I don't have. Like, I went to town completing that, and I said, as soon as I'm done with 32X, I'm just going to pick up games out of stores. There's no other big ticket items that I really want. So there's no point. And it makes it more fun. Like, you can go on eBay at any time of day and find whatever you're looking for, and you just hit buy it now, and it shows up. And unfortunately, sometimes it gets lost. Perfect example. So now I'm picking stuff out of stores. If I see them, I'll buy them. So Sega CD, not a lot has been added. I think there's been maybe a few since the last video. Sega Game Gear, there's been quite a few games. I think I had 6 in the original video, and now I have like 17 or 18 or 20, something like that. Quite a few more games, but they were very cheap, so I just grabbed whatever they had, essentially. Saturn, there's been, maybe like 10 or 15 more games since the last video. Again, no big ticket items. I think Shining Force 3 I picked up after the video, because I did that back in February. So that's new. And there's like, a few others that are new, like a Mach and X and blah, blah, at least since the last video. Dreamcast. So my Shenmue US showed up after I'd filmed the other video. So everyone keeps thinking I just have a bunch of like Shenmue of the same kind, but they're not. So this is Japanese 1 and 2. Grandia 2 isn't Shenmue, neither is D2. I just have them up here. Then there's Shenmue US. That's the North American release of Shenmue. And then this is the Japanese release of Shenmue US, which is this game with Japanese subtitles. That's the difference. Nothing else. Whereas this game is all in Japanese subtitles. There's no English stuff, whatever. Where this is the North American release, but with Japanese subtitles. Again, down here, I don't think there's been a ton of new games. Maybe Sonic Adventure 2 and a few others. But that's it, I think. Moving on. Nothing new up top. Actually, yeah, collector's edition of Ocarina of Time. I mentioned that I did want to pick that up when I was showing you my Zelda collection down here, or at least all the Zelda games for N64. And I got that maybe month and a half ago, maybe longer. It was shortly after the video was made. But anyway, so that's new. Plus, I did lights on everything. I don't know if I think I just had lights on the Fantastic consoles, but now I have them up here, and I put them somewhere else too, I think. Anyways, what else is new? Okay, here, Sculptor's Cut. Sculptor's Cut is new. Stunt Racer is new. Worms Armageddon, I believe I didn't have at the time either. And Bomberman Second Attack. So these are part of the top 5 N64 games. Like I mentioned in my original video, I like to have like the rarest games or the top games for each system. So like for Genesis, it would be Crusader, Sentient Musha, the top 2 games. Spider-Man, or sorry, for 32X, it's Spider-Man and World Series Baseball. Sega CD is KO Flying Squadron and Snatcher. Sega Saturn is Magic Knight Rayearth and Panzer Dragoon Saga. Sega Dreamcast is Cannon Spike and Illbleed. And Nintendo 64 is Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut. And Super Bowling, I believe, is the second one. Third, fourth, and fifth is Stunt Racer, Worms Armageddon, and Bomberman 64. And that's in terms of complete in box variants. Loose carts, there's the championship F1 championship cart, which is part of the top 5, but I don't have that. And that was also a Brazilian release, I believe. Yet it's part of the NTSC set, which is interesting because it was only released in Brazil. Anyways, so this is 4 out of the top 5. I need Super Bowling to have all 5 of them. I also need a manual for Stunt Racer. Other than that, everything else is complete. What else is down here that's new? I think we've had a few additions, but like oddities. What's the most recent? Like Battle Tanks, I think, is recent. What else? You know, I can't really point anything out. I don't think. Maybe Wheel of Fortune. I don't know. Just like odd games, because I have like all the big ones already. Moving on. A few new ones for Wii U just to fill the shelf. It used to sit down about here, so I just got games to fill it up to the top. Essentially, that's what I'm kind of doing, is when the shelf gets full, I'm done. So like I can't fit any more N64 in-box games right now. So I'm not actively looking for them. I have everything that I wanted from when I was a kid and whatnot. Again, the only things I'd be after would be Super Bowling is the next one that I'm definitely after. Nothing for Switch. Don't really care about Switch. Same with GameCube. Like the 2 shelves are full to the top. I started another shelf there. So like City Racer is probably like my most recent GameCube game. What else? Again, Devil's Third, the rarest Wii U game. That one's sealed. Got Earthbound up top, Chrono Trigger, all the original Marios. What else? Some Final Fantasies. I still need Final Fantasy 2. Still looking for that. Wii. All my Game Boy Advance Pokemons, original Game Boy Pokemons. 3DS is there. My small NES collection. Super Nintendo's down there, and then box Super Nintendo is here. These are all complete. Over here is Xbox Original, Futurama, and Outrun 2006, Coast to Coast. I need Teen Titans. Teen Titan, I believe, is the rarest or most expensive original Xbox game. And then it's Futurama and then Outrun Coast to Coast. But until I get Teen Titans, I'm going to leave this one up here. Nothing really new in terms of games for that. 360, there's been some additions, I think. And not by choice, just like, you know, finding them in the wild for cheap, and I don't have that, I'll grab it, blah, blah. But I'm not actively looking for it. Xbox One, I did want to fill this out. It used to, I believe in the last video, we just had 4 or 5 stacks, and now there's 6. I wanted to fill all that up to the top and then stop buying for it. Because a lot of this stuff I have on like PS4 or whatever, so I don't, like, there's nothing that stands out to me. I don't even know what the grail is for Xbox One, because it's been like 10 years of that console generation and the same looking games. So I have no idea. I'm not actively collecting anymore for it. There's nothing I want. Over here is like the rare 360 games like NCAA Football 14. There's 13. There's Blood on the Sand 50 cents. It's like a $100 game. Splatterhouse here. Another relatively expensive game. So that's Xbox, that section there. There's where all the consoles are for the modern setup. So anything HDMI and newer goes on this TV. Again, all my retro stuff is hooked up through component and a composite switch. So anything pre-HDMI, it's like original Xbox, PS2, all that stuff, it's played through the CRT, which is great. Over here is the PlayStation section. I'm glossing over a lot of stuff just because I'm assuming that most of you have seen the original video from like February. But again, if you haven't, this is my PlayStation 1, or sorry, my PlayStation setup, so, or collection rather. So PS1, PS2, this is PSP, that's all PSP, this is all PS3, and up there, over here is PS Vita. And over here's PS4, which goes up into here. And up here's PS5, which goes behind there and up here. And then all my particular games, like ones that I like or want to put on display. So here is the top 3 PlayStation 2 games. So Kuon, Rule of Rose, and Haunting Ground. Up top is Obscure. That's like the 4th or 5th rarest. Then there's Obscure the Aftermath and Obscure the Aftermath on PSP. Over here is Blood Will Tell. This is a PAL version of Blood Will Tell, but I believe that's the 4th rarest PS2 game. I need to get the North American version, but unfortunately couldn't find one. So the PAL version will do for now. Up top, Fatal Frame 1, 2, and 3. Those are all sealed. Not super expensive games, but I really love the horror genre on PS2. So I try to have the every horror game for PS2, essentially. Over here, Clock Tower 1, 2, and 3. These are relatively expensive. Clock Tower 3, not so much. Here is Persona 1 and 2. I still need to get an acrylic for Persona 1 and possibly switch out the case because this one's cracked. But this is a complete copy. This is also a complete copy. Again, just need to get an acrylic like this for it because these are quite rare PS1 games. I do believe this may be the rarest PS1 game in terms of complete in box value on price charting. Or between the two. I think I paid like 800 or sorry, 6 something for this one. And I've seen these as much as like 850. So I'm not really sure. Could go in between. Legend of Dragoon. Great game. Not super expensive, but one of my favorite games. So that gets displayed. Same with Chrono Cross. Chrono Trigger is amazing. Chrono Cross just as good. Over here, Xenogears. Like one of the best PS1 games. I came into this very late. And it's a shame that I did because this game's amazing. I really, really enjoy that game. Vagrant Story, another great Squaresoft game. Then Bushido Blade 1 and 2. Actually never played them, but because they're Squaresoft, I picked them up. I will eventually play them, though. I'd like to play everything here. I played a lot of it, but definitely not all of it. Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3. 3 being the rarest. Quite an expensive PS2 game. Down here we got Lunar 1 and 2 for PS1. I also have Lunar 1 and 2 on Sega CD. I love these working design box art. Like all of their art is always like luminescent, really cool looking, a lot of great artwork on it. Yeah, like with the Sega CD versions, they have a lot of like raised lettering and everything too. So I feel like the box art on Sega CD and Sega Saturn, any of the working design titles, they're far more intricate than they are on like PlayStation, because it's usually just like a cardboard box. I mean, you get some, you know, extra stuff here and Velcro and blah, blah, blah. It's super neat. All the working design games are great. What else? Painkiller, that's like one of the top PS3 games. Parasite Eve 1 and 2, as well as the Third Birthday's there. Grandia 1 or 2 and 3. I'm trying to find Grandia 1. You can get it off eBay, no problem, but I want to find it in a store. I've been searching, haven't come across one, but I'm sure it'll turn up eventually. There's another version of Lunar. That one's on PSP. Persona 3 on PSP. What else? I have a good, like, I think there's like 70 PlayStation 5 games, 70 or 75 of them right now. Got a good amount there. PS4 collection's kind of small, considering how old the system is. But, you know, I'm out of room, and I don't, like, really want to get more of them, because I need more shells, and I don't care, really. I'm not super into the new stuff. Like, I have a lot of PS5 games, sure, and PS4, and, like, Xbox One, but I much prefer the older stuff, and I think collecting for that's a lot more fun. Down here, PSP again, like I said, PS2. There's a lot of really like expensive PS2 games just sitting down here too. Like Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is like a $300 or $400 game right now, and it's just down here with all the rest of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games. So like a lot of the stuff that I have on display isn't necessarily the most valuable stuff. I mean, some of it is, but it's also like stuff I really enjoy. Like Xenogears is like a $200-something game. It's not a ton of money. Whereas like, you know, you look at Rule of Rose or Kuon, and it's like a $1,200 game, right? So there's those kinds of variations in value. Same with Bushido Blade 1 and 2. They're not really worth much of anything, but I still have them on display. Whereas a really valuable game, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, is just sitting down there on the shelf amongst other games. So like there's a lot of games that are worth a ton of money that aren't on display. I usually just display my favorites, or like things that fit a genre. Like for the PlayStation area, I really like horror games for like PS1, PS2, stuff like that. So that's all that. Over here's my PS1 collection. There's a good amount of games. They don't take up a ton of space because it's jewel cases, right? So they're only like so big. But that's where all that is. And then again, PS2's down there. What else? Oh, I have like my boxes for all my controllers and stuff over here. There's like a sealed N64 expansion pack there. I kind of want to display that with the N64 stuff, but there's so much shit over there. Moving on over here. Oh, well, I'll quickly say like all these console boxes are complete. So like that's a complete in box 80 gig PS3. That's a complete in box DualShock PS1 original. That's a complete in box PS1, a complete in box Silver PS2. PS4 Pro isn't complete. Same with the PS5 because they're there. But the rest of those are all complete in box. Same with over here. Like this isn't complete in box because it's here, but this is complete in box. That is upstairs in our living room, so that's not complete in box. This is right there. So it could be complete in box, but I have the system out. This is complete in box. That's down there, so it's not. Super Nintendo complete in box. Nintendo complete in box. This N64 back here is a complete in box system. Complete in box GameCube. I think I have 8 Nintendo 64s. I have 6 down here, 1 up there, and 1 over there. This is a brand new, never opened. Well, it's been opened, but brand new, never used Dreamcast. So like this, they never put stickers or anything on these. So when you open it up, it's completely everything sealed. Same with the controller and the memory pack and jump pack down there. So that's like a timeless, untouched console, which is great because the Dreamcast is my favorite console of all time. My original Dreamcast is up over there, which is very like yellowed, but I've had it since day one, 1999. It still works, but I've replaced it with a much cleaner looking Dreamcast. I love this system so much. And then, because it's my favorite system of all time, a brand new unboxed Dreamcast. So that'll never get used. The Sega Saturn box is fucking awful, and it's not complete in box, just an outer box. I need to find a much better box. It doesn't need to be complete in box, but I need to get a much better box. Same with the Sega CD, not complete in box, but all the inserts, all the packaging, all the manuals, everything's in there, because the Sega CD is over there, hooked up. Same with the 32X. All of the paperwork and inserts and all that are in there, but the 32X is over there. And the Genesis as well. Everything's in there, including the plastics and all that stuff, but the Genesis is over there. So that's all the consoles and whatnot. Now we'll look at the glass case, which has all my favorites, which I went over in the other video as well, but we'll do it again here. So up top, Final Fantasy VII, my favorite game of all time. It's the game that I first got on PlayStation. It's the game that got me into JRPGs. It is the one that started it all. 1997, I was 10 years old, played this for the first time, and was blown away. This here is every version of Final Fantasy VII. So we have the official official release. Our first print release for North America is down there. A greatest hit release for North Americans right there. And then this is a misprint greatest hits release. There's only about 600 of them in the world. And the reason I know it's a real and not someone just switching out the back for a greatest hits back and a first release front is inside there's greatest hits discs, but first release manual. So usually the greatest hits games, they have black and white manuals. This has a color manual that belongs in a first release, but the discs are greatest hits. The front is first release, but the rear is greatest hits. And the reason I know that this isn't just some jumbled up piece together one is that there's sealed, factory sealed copies of this. And it's documented that this happened. So there was a printing error or whatever, and a bunch of them went out wrong. And this is one of them. And this was actually my first, what's it called? My first physical version of this game, because the first time I played it, I borrowed it from my sister's boyfriend at the time. He's the one that introduced me to all this. So when I finally got a copy myself, it was that copy right there, and it just happened to be the really rare, obscure one, which is great. Over here is the playable demo that you would get from like PlayStation Magazine. This is the Squaresoft Preview Extra, which is a tech demo that you got from the 1995 Tokyo Game Show. That's very cool. Over there at the bottom is the PAL version. That is the Japanese version. And that is the international version. And right there is the PAL Platinum version. So that is like the greatest hits PAL version. I need to get a greatest hits Japanese version, if they even exist. And I'll add that to the collection one day. Up top is a sealed remake for PS5 and a sealed reunion remake for PS5. Right there is a sealed collector's edition PS4 remake. In the back there is the Reflections disc, which is a tech demo of Final Fantasy VII running on the PS3 hardware. When they first teased the remake back in 2006, you would get that from E3 2006. In the back there is the PC version. Over here is Crisis Core on PSP, Dirge of Cerberus on PS2, and then Advent Children Collector's Edition, as well as Advent Children UMD. Down here, Silent Hill. This is my Silent Hill collection. It's every single Silent Hill game they make. And these have moved. What's going on here? Please don't fall. Or is that just how it is? Oh, that's how it is, because I have so many of them. Anyways, so down here is every Silent Hill game they make, every version, except for the greatest hits. So, like, there's Silent Hill 2 and 4 for Xbox original, and they also made a greatest hits version of the second one for Xbox. I don't have that. I have all the initial releases. So, like, this is a playable demo that came with the PAL version of Metal Gear. This is Silent Hill 1 for PlayStation 1. Book of Memories, Shattered Memories on PSP. There's Shattered Memories on Wii, Shattered Memories on PS2, Origins on PSP, then Origins on PS2, then The Room for PS2, Silent Hill 2 and 3 on PS2, the HD Collection PS3, Homecoming PS3, Downpour for for 360, Downpour for PS3. And then there's a Silent Hill Experience, which is a UMD. The only thing I don't have is the Telltale Stories for Game Boy Advanced. That was only released in Japan. You'll probably never find it over here, so I got to get it off of eBay. And, you know, eventually. Other than that, that's all the games. And then down here is my Metal Gear collection, which is every Metal Gear game for every system, including Dreamcast, which is a custom ROM hack that you would put in a disc into the Dreamcast called Bleemcast, and then that would allow it to read this custom disc. And what this was just a upscaled, higher resolution, higher frame rate copy of Metal Gear. The button mapping was all done correctly to the Dreamcast. Looks great, plays great. Like you can see the difference right there. It shows you. The top is the original PlayStation version, and then the bottom is the Dreamcast. So now you can see that it's much cleaner image. There's no aliasing. It's just a much better experience while still playing it kind of on original hardware. So not emulated and not playing the Twin Snakes, essentially. These big boxes are the premium packages. So that's the premium package for number one. So it comes with a copy of Metal Gear, as well as an autographed shirt, dog tags, stuff like that. This one comes with, I forget what it is. I think it's dog tags again, but a bunch of other cool stuff. And then the one for Snake Eater comes with like a model of the Shagohod and whatnot. And then down there is Metal Gear 1 and 2, complete in box for NES. Those are the original games, as well as Escape from New York, which is the original movie that gave Hideo Kojima the inspiration to make Solid Snake, David Hayter's character. So this guy's name was Pliskin Snake, or Pliskin, and his codename was Snake. And so in Metal Gear Solid 2, when you meet Solid Snake on the big shell as Raiden, his name is Iroquois Pliskin. That's his cover name, essentially, which is based off of this guy here. So very cool. Had to have that movie in there with the collection because I believe it ties it all in. And it's essentially where it all began. Yeah, so that's everything in the case. And over here, again, is just like all my PC stuff. All my PC games, blah, blah. I sold a bunch of hardware. I had a 3090 Ti, 6900 XT, stuff like that. Bought a 4090. So for all the PC people, that's upstairs now. I haven't made a video on that yet, but I've had it for a while. Tore apart this. Sold off a bunch of parts. I'm going to change it all up and upgrade. If you hadn't noticed yet, or at least noticed it in the last video, it was a complete computer for my VR sim rig. And just right now transitioning to different stuff. Gonna make it better. What else can we talk about? I think that's about it. And it's great because I can keep this under 30 minutes because the last one was pretty long. Yeah, I do believe that's it. Not much else to talk about. Yeah. All right. Well, that's another update on the games room. Quite a few more games. I believe I'm at around 2,850 games right now. Steadily going up. It's probably going to slow down quite a bit as I have, like, you know, this is complete now. And this was kind of like my stopping point. Anything else that I find, it'll be organic. I'm not going to look and search and hunt and make, you know, tons of purchases anymore like I was for a while. Definitely time to chill out. I'm definitely running out of space, and that's a bit of an issue. Oh, another quick update. We're buying the house. So all this will get finished. So for anyone that watched through the whole video, now you know, yes, it's an unfinished basement. We've been renting the house. We've made a deal with the landlords. We're purchasing the home. First thing we're doing is finishing the fucking basement. I can't wait. I have so many cool ideas on how I want everything set up. Like pod lighting, and each area is going to be for a specific system. And that's going to go all along the back wall there. And then I'll have everything set up in like a retro area. And I don't want to talk about it because I get really excited and then I can't wait. Anyways, all right. That's it. I'll see you again in the next update. Thanks for watching.